Hi, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to write our first test cases and doing a read from database and write its implementation using TDD. For TDD, we have to think about our test and write our tests first. Then we're going to write our implementation. And then we're going to refactor. This is the cycle of TDD. Tests, write an implementation, then refactor, and do it all over again. Okay, for my app to be working, I need to modify some scripts in my package.json file. The first thing I'm going to do is to use Vitest when I run npm run tests, and I'm going to, for dev mode, I need to install Nodemon. Nodemon is a package that you can install globally, and it helps you to keep track of your files whenever you hit save or you make changes to any of your project. Inside this project file, the server gets restarted, which is helpful in our case. I'm going to hit save. I suppose you have installed Node1 beforehand. I'm not going to do it all over again, but you need to install it using -G to install it globally for this to work. Okay, let's write our first test case. In here, app.test.ts for writing my app test, importing describe from Vitest, and it should run the API server. And I'm going to import this as well. Request app.get slash. And I expect the response.status to be 1200. I mean 200. And then I need to make this async function. Let's run our test, npm run test. You see here the test has been failed. So what I'm gonna do is to make it work. We have to make the test work. This is the cycle of TDD. I'm going to import request from supertest. Supertest is not installed. npm pnpm I supertest, and I'm going to install its type dependency, save dev, pnpm I save dev, types, supertest, and it cannot find name app, so I'm going to create a file named app.ts, and I'm going to make a new instance of Express. I'm going to export default this app. Of course, the Express is not defined yet, so just gonna do and pnpm I express pnpm I save dev types express for this error to be gone. It's save, we hit save, we import the app from this file, and it's still failing. Why? Because it throws 404 instead of 200. And I'm gonna write here our first respond.send hello, hello. Just as simple as that. My first test is running. Okay? And let's refactor. I want the test to be expect to response.text. It should be hello world instead of hello, just a simple hello. Okay. You see here, it's expected another string. So now we come and edit this and we hit save. Now that it's working, let's move on to the more complicated tests. I'm going to create a new file, user.test.typescript, and I'm going to describe user route. It, no, not from no test, from Vitest. It should return a list of users whenever I call a user's get function, okay? And we have a pattern in TDD, which is AAA pattern. We say arrange, act, and assert. So for this one, I'm going to import Prisma from mock and user.findMany mock result value. I'm going to set up what my database should be returning, because in tests I might make mutations, but I don't want the mutations to take place in database. So what I'm gonna do is to create a little sandbox for my testing environment in order to test my application and make the logic work instead of uh, making changes to the actual database. So that is the reason why we mock the Prisma function in the first place, to be able to run this function in here. Mock result value, and I want this to return something like ID. I want the ID to be 1 and the name should be Alice. The email cannot be, the email should be filled. It's not optional. Alice at bob.com. That's a weird email. And the address I want to be null. Okay. Now that it's type safe, we're going to act. We're going to make a function call. We're going to make an API call. This is the part where act goes, and the response wait request app dot get /user or user, and I'm going to import request from supertest, which is not here, which is weird. Request from supertest and the app from there, and the assert, we expect something to be happening. We expect a return type of a function to be like string. We expect the value to be something. We expect the object to match this object. We can expect anything by writing here expect response that status should be 200, and we hit save. Okay, it's 404 now, but it's not going to be. Let's change that and write our implementation. User request response, and I wanted to send a hello world. This would satisfy our test. Now it's time to get back to our test and write more tests to expect more, so that implementations gets complex. but I want to response.body to match this object. The object that I've put in here. Let's create a variable in here. User. I'm just gonna create this. I want Prisma to return this user, and I expect to the response body to match this object. It is failing right now, but the best way to do is to just ignore this one and send this one instead. That's an easy one, but what if we change something here? Or what if I want to make sure that we prisma.user.find many to have been called? This is the matter that we cannot skip. Note that I read somewhere that we cannot cover everything in our tests, but we can cover most of our application and the crucial parts of our application. So I'm going to make sure that prisma.user.findMany is called. I'm going to mark this function as an async, await, users, and the response should be return users, not just a simple one. Is it passing? Okay, it's taking too long. Why is this happening? Uh, it expected something like this, but received something in here. Why is this happening? It's making an actual database call. Since if you recall from the last video, this is a real-time database query we have in here, but this is our expected value. So we are not mocking this completely yet. What we need to do is to write this line of code to our each test that we are writing, and we want Prisma to be mocked. We come here and paste this code. We mock the database.prisma. I hope it's a proper way. No, this is not a proper route. Where's this file is running in the root of our folder? So we gonna say Prisma. And it fails to match object. What we received in here is this is the array of user, and we expect it to be a simple object. So we gonna do here is this, and we hit save, and you see here our test is passing in less than 100 milliseconds. This is showing that it's not querying the real database, but it's fetching the values that we are passing in here. Okay, but you may ask this question, because I have asked this myself, why we do this, but we are providing the result in here, and we are saying to the Prisma should return this, and we expect the same thing. Here's the tricky part. This here that we did is a simple API call. If the app or APIs get more complex, what should we do now? For example, I want it to be, this is the list of users, but I expect the expected user just to return ID and name instead of returning the whole user in this directory, and I want to be expected user. And when we hit save, it still satisfies the test, but I want to match I want to be the exact same thing in here. I want this test to be equal to this. So I'm going to get rid of the email and address field in the app. Uses the map for each user. I'm going to just return ID user ID, and the name should be user.name. And I want this to be returned as result. And the result should be like this. And you can see here the tests are working now. I hope you forgive me. This was a long video. For the next video, I'm going to write down create for this user and update both of the. We're going to move on to mutations to the database and write tests about that. Stay tuned, follow for more. Don't forget to like. Thank you. Bye bye.